Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 12, Text 19. Sorry. Sattadarsha Vimana Griyam.
Sadadarsha Vimana Agryam
Namasho. Sorry. Nabaso Avatara Dhruvaha.
Dabaso
Navasu Avtarat Dhruva
Vibrajayad Dashadisho.
Vibrajayad Dashadisho
Rakapatim Evoditam.
Rakapatim Ivoditam.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. As soon as the symptoms of his liberation were manifest, he saw a very beautiful airplane coming down from the sky, as if the brilliant full moon were coming down, illuminating all the 10 directions. There are different levels of acquired knowledge: direct knowledge, knowledge received from authorities, transcendental knowledge, knowledge beyond the senses, and finally spiritual knowledge. When one surpasses the stage of acquiring knowledge by the descending process, he is immediately situated on the transcendental platform. So in bhakti is the descending process. We are receiving the knowledge from Krishna through the authorities, through the parampara. That's descending. It's coming from Krishna. Krishna speaks to Brahmaji, Brahmaji to Narad, Narad to Vyasadeva. Like that, it's coming to us. So it's descending. There is another process, the process of Gyan, that is ascending, where the person is trying by their own mind, speculation, to try to understand what is knowledge. But the perfect knowledge is when it's descended, because God is speaking about himself. So he's making himself known. So that is the most authorized way of receiving knowledge. And this is how one can be situated on the liberated platform, real liberated platform. Dhruva Maharaj, being liberated from the material concept of life, was situated in transcendental knowledge, and he could perceive the presence of a transcendental airplane, which was as brilliant as the full moon light. So he self-realized, he's completely understood his spiritual position. He's not thinking of himself as the body, as Dhruva Maharaj. No, he's thinking of himself. He's understood that he is the soul. He has a relationship with Krishna. And now he's seeing this aeroplane which is coming. But it's not an ordinary aeroplane that we take when we travel from here to there. It's a transcendental airplane. Brilliant. This is not possible in the stages of direct or indirect perception of knowledge. Such knowledge is a special favor of the Supreme Personality of God. One can, however, rise to this platform of knowledge by the gradual process of advancing in devotional service or Krishna consciousness. So how can we also be situated in this position? We engage in devotional service, hearing, chanting, remembering. We also can be situated in this position. So we can see Dhruva Maharaj is such a wonderful example for us. He had material desires. He had such a great, impossible material desire. He wanted a kingdom which is greater than Lord Brahma's. And then how he engaged in devotional service, his desire also got fulfilled. He's gotten liberation. He's able to see the Lord himself. Now when he has to leave the body, this transcendental airplane has come to take him. Tatrānudeva pravaro chaturbhujau.
Tatrānudeva pravaro chaturbhujau
Shamo kishora varanu arunam bhujekshanam.
Shamo Kishoro Aruna Ambuj Ikshino
Stithav avastabhya gadam suvasasau.
Titato Abhyavastya Gadam Suvasaso
Kiritaharangadhacharu kundalo.
किरीटहारङ्गदचारुकुण्डलो.
Dhruva Maharaj saw two very beautiful associates of Lord Vishnu in the plain. They had 4 hands and a blackish bodily luster. They were very youthful, and their eyes were just like reddish lotus flowers. They held clubs in their hands, and they were dressed in very attractive garments with helmets and were decorated with necklaces, bracelets, and earrings. So this is the Vishnu Dutas who have come to take him. This is a description of the Vishnu Dutas. The inhabitants of Vishnu Lok are of the same bodily feature as Lord Vishnu. And they also hold club, conch shell, lotus flower, and disc. So in the Vaikuntha, there are so many planets. The topmost planet is Golok Vrindavan, where Krishna himself stays. But in the other planets, there's his various expansions of Lord Vishnu, depending the different arrangements of the club, conch shell, lotus flower, and disc. And the inhabitants of those planets also look like Lord Vishnu. Does anyone remember what is this kind of liberation called?
Sarupa something.
That's right. That's right. Yes,
Sarupya.
Sarupya. Yeah.
And he'll
Looking
be
same
taken
like the
to,
Lord.
right, and he'll be taken to the pole star, right? Through
Yes.
planet, no?
Yeah. Yeah. So Krishna is so kind, you know. He says, you want to look like me? Okay, sure, you can look like me. You can look like any of the Vishnu forms. So, and even in Golok, the cowherd boys, you know, they also have their flute, they have their cow, this horn, all these things, what Krishna has, the buffalo horn, you know. So in this verse, it is distinctly stated they had 4 hands and were nicely dressed. The description of their bodily decoration corresponds exactly to that of Vishnu. So the 2 uncommon personalities who descended from the airplane came directly from Vishnu Lok, or the planet where Lord Vishnu lives. So they are coming from the spiritual planet, not in the material world. They are not ordinary people. Yeah? They are the Vishnu Dutas. Vijnayata uttamagaya kinkarav.
विज्ञायतो उत्तङ्गाय किङ्करो.
Abhyutita sadvasa vismrita kramaha.
अभ्युत्थिता साधुवस्विस्मृतक्रमः.
Nanama namani granan madhudvishaha.
नामानि गृणन् मधुद्विषः.
Parshad pradhana iti samha tanjalihe.
पार्षदप्रधानो इति संहत अंजलि.
Dhruva Maharaj, seeing that these uncommon personalities were direct servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, immediately stood up. But being puzzled in hastiness, he forgot how to receive them in the proper way. Therefore, he simply offered obeisances with folded hands and chanted and glorified the holy names of the Lord. Chanting the holy names of the Lord is perfect in every way. When Dhruva Maharaj saw the Vishnu Dutas, the direct associates of Lord Vishnu, 4-handed and nicely decorated, he could understand who they were, but for the time being, he was puzzled. But simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna mantra, he could satisfy the uncommon guests who had all of a sudden arrived before him. So they've come to take him. He's happy to see them, but he's also a bit confused, you know, suddenly. But he's so fortunate that the Vishnu Dutas are coming to take him, right? And so he's receiving them by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. So we can see, we may not know any other prayer. Chanting the Hare Krishna mantra is the best prayer. It's the best way we can satisfy anyone. The chanting of the holy name of the Lord is perfect, even though one does not know how to please Lord Vishnu or his associates. Simply by sincerely chanting the holy name of the Lord, everything becomes perfect. A devotee, therefore, either in danger or in happiness, constantly chants the Hare Krishna mantra. When he is in danger, he is immediately relieved. And when he is in a position to see Lord Vishnu or his associates directly, by chanting this Mahamantra, he can please the Lord. So a devotee, they are just constantly chanting the holy names of the Lord. The pure devotee, that's all he's doing. He doesn't want to do anything else. This is the absolute nature of the Mahamantra. Either in danger or in happiness, it can be chanted without limitation. So, and this is the best way we can please Krishna. By chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, we are pleasing Krishna. It is a service. The devotional service begins by hearing and chanting. So when we are chanting, we hear, and this is how we please Krishna. And this is how Dhruva Maharaj is pleasing the Vishnu Dutas who have come to take him. Tam Krishna pada nivishta chetasam
Tam Krishna pada abhinivisht chetasam
Badhanjali prashrayanam kandaram
Bad Anjalim Prashyayanam Mrikandaram
Sunandananda upasritya sasmitam
Sunandanam
pratyuchatu pushkaranabhasammatam
Pratyuchato Pushkaranabhasammato.
Dhruva Maharaj was always absorbed in thinking of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. His heart was full with Krishna. When the two confidential servants of the Supreme Lord, who were named Nanda and Sunanda, approached him, smiling happily, Dhruva stood with folded hands, bowing humbly. Then they addressed him as follows. So the spiritual world, they are personalities, their forms are spiritual, they have names. You can see these two personalities, Nanda and Sunanda, they are coming from the spiritual world to Dhruva Maharaj. In this verse, the word Pushkaranabha Samato is significant. Krishna or Lord Vishnu is known for his lotus eyes, lotus navel, lotus feet, and lotus palms. Here he is called Pushkaranabha, which means the Supreme Personality of Godhead who has a lotus navel. And Samata means two confidential or very obedient servants. So Krishna, when we are describing Krishna, the devotees, then they describe his eyes, his lotus feet. Even the navel is in the shape of a lotus. Lotus palms. You know, Kunti Maharani, she has this very wonderful prayer when she's seeing Krishna, and then she says, Nama Pankaja Nabhaya, Nama Pankaja Maline, Nama Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajam Raye. My respectful obeisances are unto you, O Lord, whose abdomen is marked with a depression like a lotus flower, who are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, whose glance is as cool as the lotus, and whose feet are engraved with lotuses. This is how Kunti Maharani is describing Krishna, his different bodily features. And then his two very confidential or obedient servants have come. The materialistic way of life differs from the spiritual way of life in that one is disobedience and the other is obedience to the will of the Supreme Lord. All living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and they're supposed to be always agreeable to the order of the Supreme Person, that is perfect oneness. Now, this is the difference. Why Nanda and Sunanda in the spiritual world and we are here in the material world? The personalities in the spiritual world, they are, what is it? Can anyone say? Why are they in the spiritual world?
Because they are all the time engaging in devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Right?
Yes.
And they know they are servants of Krishna.
And they are obedient to the will of the Supreme Lord.
Right. Okay.
They accept Krishna's will.
Right.
And we are always rebelling against Krishna's will. Say, no, why shall I do what you want me to do? I'm going to do whatever I want to do. So Krishna says, okay, fine. You go to the material world and do whatever you want to do. Yeah. It's our duty, actually. It's our duty because we are part and parcel of Krishna. It's our duty to be obedient to the will of the Lord. But we, the souls in this material world, we are the rebellious souls. That's why we are here. In the Vaikuntha world, all the living entities are in oneness with the Supreme Godhead because they never defy his orders. So oneness means what? Oneness in the mood, following the orders of the Lord. Not oneness that they're becoming God. No, oneness in accepting the will of the Lord. That is the real oneness. Here in the material world, however, they are not sammata, agreeable, but always asammata, disagreeable. We are not agreeable to the will of the Lord. Something happens, we are like, why this, that, why, Krishna, what are you doing? What's happening? I don't want to do this. I don't want to follow your orders. Then we are continuing. That's why we are here, continuing material life. This human form of life is a chance to be trained to be agreeable to the orders of the Supreme Lord. To bring about this training in society is the mission of the Krishna consciousness movement. Again, we may say, why should I follow Krishna's orders? I can do whatever I like. I'm independent. But then we try to understand, are we really independent? Or are we being controlled by the modes of nature? The goodness, passion, and ignorance, these modes have actually bound us. So we are thinking we are independent, but actually we are not. We are just bound. By devotional service, we will be situated in our real position because devotional service is the real position, is the real activity. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the laws of material nature are very strict. No one can overcome the stringent laws of material nature. But one who becomes a surrendered soul and agrees to the law order of the Supreme Lord can easily overcome those stringent laws. So, Sheetal, do you remember which verse is this? No one can overcome the laws of material nature. I'm not sure if she's there. This is Devi Hi Esha Gunamai. Krishna is saying that this nature, this material world, she's my nature. And we are trying to get out of this nature. We are trying to manipulate this nature. But the only way that we can get out of her control is when we surrender to Krishna. The example of Dhruva Maharaj is very fitting. Simply by becoming agreeable to the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and by developing love of Godhead, Dhruva got the chance to personally meet the confidential servants of Lord Vishnu face to face. So who are we going to be facing at the time of death? Who are we? Who's going to come to take us? So here, Dhruva Maharaj, he engaged in devotional service, and now he got a chance to see the Lord, and now the Vishnu Dutas have come to take him. Now we may say, but I'm not agreeable to the orders of the Lord. I have so many other of my desires. I don't have love for Krishna. Doesn't matter. Everything will fall in place. Just continue to hear and chant. Just continue hearing and chanting. What was possible for Dhruva Maharaj is possible for everyone. Anyone who very seriously engages in devotional service can obtain, in due course of time, the same perfection of the human form of life. So Dhruva Maharaj is a great, great example for us to follow. He engaged, he had material desires, he engaged in devotional service, his desires were fulfilled, he was able to see the Lord, and now he's going to the spiritual world, to the pole star. Were there any questions or comments?
So this is the Dhruva Maharaj's journey, right? Like what happened actually after
Yeah.
he got the liberation, the trance. Like so, then he still continued devotion, and then the two carriers from the to take him came, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
He's completely fixed his mind on Krishna, and now they've come to take him. Yeah. He's in Badrikashram. He left the kingdom. He went to Badrikashram. He's completely engaging in devotional service. And the Vishnu Dutas have come to take him now.
Yeah.
So that verse you were saying is from chapter 7, right? Text 14 Bhagavad Gita. Devi
7:14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Devi Shagunamai Mama Ya Mam Eva Prapatyante Mayam Etam Tarantite. Right?
Thank you. That's right. Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's the one. Devi Hiya Shagunamai. So we can see Krishna saying this divine energy of mind. Do you know the translation?
Yes, yeah. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Yeah, so beautiful.
So he's giving us a way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's saying you want liberation from these three modes of nature, you want liberation, you surrender to me. And you will easily get it. Easily. Otherwise, it's very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So, and how can we surrender to Krishna? Surrender begins by
Hearing and chanting.
Hearing and chanting.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Shilpa, can we